Good afternoon. My name is Faloye Phillips, and I'm happy to be on this platform to be able to communicate to you as your history teacher. And the purpose of this class actually is just to review previous lessons. I'm talking about the first term, I mean the second term, actually, the second term topics, and review them properly and see how we can answer further questions if there are any. Um, Requirement is to pay attention and play over and over again if you wish. For further clarification on the platform, you can contact and actually discuss. I encourage you at this time not to play away your few moments, but to work hard and pray that success will attend all our efforts. Amen. All right. The main topic, theme that we had the first time was on Cold War. So actually, it's who was to blame. Who was to blame for the Cold War? Um, Prior this time, in the 1945, when the First Second World War ended, it was clear that the two bedfellows, uneasy bedfellows, the USA and USSR, who had joined hands together to edge away their enemy, their common enemy, in Adolf Hitler, Germany. This time, they came together in Yalta Conference, seeing how they could forge ahead, knowing fully well that it was time off for Hitler and Germany. They were already inching up to surrender. So the two leaders in Stanley, especially, and Truman, Roosevelt, really came together in order to see how they can forge ahead to chart a new course for the world. As that time, they were the two leaders. But the three countries, Britain, France, Russia, came together, and uh, they met in that conference. And some they had certain resolutions, and you know them already. For example, one of it is that they would form a new world order, which is the UN, uh, because the LON had failed. The LON was to ensure that there wasn't any war after the First World War, the Great War. It was saddled with that responsibility to ensure that there wasn't war, no other war except that which had happened, that is that ended in 19 um, that started in 1914 and ended in 1918. Fortunately, because of a lot of reasons anyway, and the weaknesses of the LON, which is the League of Nations at that time, it failed. Uh, they came together and they actually started in Yalta conference in Yalta, a village called Yalta, in 1945, to these world leaders to chart, you know, a new world order. They did uh, agreed in they did agree in certain things, but the area that the agreement went sour was in the sphere of the Eastern Europe that was to be controlled by what? By the USSR. That was the area where the problem ensued. Really, it wasn't agreed that the USSR should install new government, the communist government in all these spheres, but only to ensure that there are no dictators or there is no dictator rising like Adolf Hitler of Germany and Mussolini, General Mussolini in Italy, again in that area. That was what was agreed. But Stanley went a length further by ensuring that he established communist government in all these areas, and he established Comiform to ensure that these governments are being controlled or remotely controlled by him. And this was not acceptable by the USSR. Um, we dealt with uh, the main causes, of uh, the breakdown in the relationship in 1945. We said it was ideological. Cold War itself has been described by many historians as um, a war of ideology. Really, to understand for two persons or two nations, great nations like that, to understand themselves, they needed to have systems that are related. But in this case, the USSR understanding was actually run by a man who believed strongly in communism, while the USA actually was a country that practiced or that still practicing democracy. And you can see two uneasy bedfellows. It wasn't easy for them to coexist in the various meetings that they had, especially in Potsdam. Potsdam was after Yalta. After Yalta, the whole system started collapsing gradually because there is a new world order, and these two new world leaders were struggling amidst themselves. They wanted to be, they were struggling amidst themselves through arms, ammunitions, through many other things like politicking. They are looking for who will be the leader. As in, if I am a citizen, I come from the USSR. I want my country to edge out Russia as a leader, the second leader to be the world head, and that was what was going on. So we had the repeat of First World War problems that we called Ming. We had the repeat of militarism. We have the repeat of alliances. We had the repeat of nationalism. Nationalism and all this brought about tension that almost caused the war, the Third World War, after the Second World War. Until in 1980, in the 1980s, when the Cold War broke down under the rulership of the government of Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan. Actually, it was tussling all along. There was the establishment of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, by the US to galvanize all other countries to also together in order to stand formidable. In order to stand formidable if there is any aggression by Warsaw or the Comintern as established by Stanley. And we also linked the saga that followed the issue of Berlin blockade. The reason for Berlin blockade was because of the Cold War, the ideological war, the system that does not work together. They are not related, and they negate each other. I said all this because I want you guys to look critically at the pros and cons, the cause and effect, of every major event, especially the ones I've mentioned today. And I want you to be able to look at each of it clinically. The reason why is that when you write analyzing. You cannot write without seeing the cause, reasons, and the effect. Reasons and effects are very important. Wish you all the best. I pray that the COVID virus pandemic will be over soon, so that we'll be back in class and things normal once again. Meanwhile, I could encourage you to go over your notes, especially the Cold War, because it is always rampant in the IGCSE exams. Thank you, and God bless.